Are we alone in the universe? Proving that we are not alone will be one of the greatest discoveries in history. The man who may bring us closer to this realization has never seen the Milky Way, but yet he's completely in touch with the pulse of the universe.
When I'm listening in the dark, reaching out into space with a radio telescope, I have an astonishing experience because parts of space sing. Literally, it's actually true. You have to have a sensitive ear, but it does. The clouds of gas sing to you, and my mind goes out to where those clouds are, thousands of light years away. That to me is the closest that I will ever come to touching the universe.
Kent Cullers is the world's first and only blind astrophysicist. His love of space was inspired by a book his father used to read to him as a child.
The book that my father read to me when I was 5 years old was called The Golden Book of Astronomy, and he described the pictures. It was basically all about the planets as they were known at that time. I would imagine touching these cold objects and floating in a different gravity on Mars. And of course, the other thing that he said is all the stars are suns. And that literally lit up my life.
Born 7 weeks prematurely in 1949, Kent was put in an oxygenated incubator which saved his life, but the oxygen blinded him completely. With supportive, loving parents, he grew up like any ordinary boy. He attended a normal school, the only difference being that all his textbooks were in Braille. His tenacious spirit was evident as he sailed through high school as a straight-A student and valedictorian.
I just had an astonishingly easy life until college, when suddenly there was nothing in Braille anymore. The professor would say, and this equation, screech, makes this equation, and that makes it obvious that the following is true. And I would say, what? And I was always much more polite than that. I would raise my hand and say, excuse me, I don't want to stop everything, but could you actually say what you meant there?
Kent had a flair for mathematics, and after graduating from Berkeley with a physics PhD, he was employed by NASA's SETI Institute to try and find signs of intelligent life in the universe. Do you actually believe in the existence of extraterrestrial life?
I absolutely am convinced that there are extraterrestrial beings. The argument is simply that there are so many stars like the sun, and there are so many galaxies like ours, that we cannot possibly be a cosmic miracle.
For most of us, when we think of space, we think in terms of the visual splendor of the universe. But how then is Kent able to see the stars that he's so passionate about?
Hearing analyzes waves just the way the eye does. They're different waves, but the quality of waves, light waves and sound waves, is very similar. The equations that tell you about them are very similar. So I became fascinated by what the ear can do. I started hearing the strange sounds that come from the sun when the sun is having sunspot activity and so on. And I realized that I could understand the mathematics that analyzed those qualities of wave.
The waves that Kent concentrates on are radio waves, and every object in space emits these waves. Radio telescopes are able to see far more distantly into our past than optical telescopes. At SETI, Kent spent his time developing complex mathematical algorithms that can differentiate between natural radio waves and radio waves that are formed by intelligent alien technologies.
Well, there are many sounds in space. Now, these aren't really sounds, they're radio waves turned into sound just the way a piece of radio equipment normally works. And so, okay, here's the first sound. This is actually the aftermath of an incredible catastrophe. This is a star that was once at least as large as the sun, about 1 million miles across. It burned out, and in the end, it collapsed to something about the size of a city.
With the advent of radio and television, Earth is broadcasting to the universe that we now possess intelligent technology. The television signal of Armstrong's giant leap for mankind in 1969 has already traveled trillions of kilometers in space and can be detected by at least 350 nearby stars. Of all the modern scientific attempts to find extraterrestrials, Project Phoenix, headed up by Kent Cullers, was the largest. Using massive telescopes, Phoenix zeroed in on nearby sun-like stars. Kent and his team spent nearly a decade and studied 1,000 nearby stars to see if they could find any scientific evidence of intelligent life. But many Earthlings feel the aliens may already have landed.
The formations draw scientists and spectators from around the world, each with their own theory about what's creating them.
I know for sure that crop circles are fakes because the guys who did it admitted it and in fact boasted about it, and they still are being brought up in the literature. And as to the rest, it takes great time or great energy to go across space. And so I just don't think that any civilization is sending out their anthropological grad students to tease the natives of Earth. I just don't think that's possible.
Are you disappointed that you haven't received signals from any ETs?
No, not at all. I have designed the search that will grow fast enough to make it happen. We've looked at 1,000 stars. We need to look at 1 billion stars.
Kent believes that the search has only just begun. He's in the country at the moment to explore an exciting new development in the astronomical world. South Africa is one of the leading countries that is pitching to host the world's biggest radio telescope. It's called the Square Kilometre Array, or SKA, as the dishes will cover a surface area of 1 kilometre squared.
We aim to build the biggest radio telescope in the world. It's basically going to consist of an array of about 4,500 dishes distributed over a wide area, approximately 3,000 kilometers.
Dr. Adrian Tiplady, one of the scientists on the project, says the proposed site will be situated in the middle of the sparsely populated Karoo. What exactly is the SKA trying to find?
We aim to look back further in the past than we've ever been able to before, looking back at the initial formation of galaxies and structure in order to map the entire evolution of the universe up to today.
Our country is rapidly becoming the hub of astronomical research. The South African Large Telescope, or SALT, in Sutherland is the biggest optical telescope in the southern hemisphere, and the world's most sensitive gamma-ray telescope is situated in neighboring Namibia. Kent believes South Africa has a very good chance to win the pitch and host the SKA.
The South African concept looks to me like one of the possible winners. If you can believe it, the South African government is putting in, my estimate, that, I mean, this isn't their official number, but this is what I think, they're putting in something like $50 million into this prototype alone. Now, I've got to tell you that when you think of a shuttle, where a shuttle launch costs $500 million US, you can become famous in astronomy with a lot of bang for the buck. And South Africa could be indeed the country to look most distantly back into the Big Bang and see some of the original secrets of the universe.
The SKA will also be used to search for signs of extraterrestrial life, bringing Kent closer to realizing his dream and making contact with alien intelligence. When ET eventually does phone home, what do you think he will find?
Well, it's just like when I talk to people on the phone, or when I talk to you. Benedict, I don't have any idea what you look like. Although I doubt if you're an alien, I'm not going to do that with the aliens either. I don't want to rule out anything. I want to be surprised.